you everyone for being here for Basketball Media Day, starting here with the women's team. Head coach Todd Starkey is joined by seniors starting on the right, Sydney Brindley, Megan Carter, and Allie Poole. Coach Starkey will start with an opening statement, and we'll take questions.
Thanks for being here. It's that time of year again. We get to talk basketball. Weather has changed appropriately. It means basketball season's here, and we're excited about all the work and preparation we've been putting in. We're kind of at that time of year where you're not really sure what kind of team you have. You know, you're ready to compete against outside competition. Hopefully this next week we'll get to see a little bit of what we're made of with some scrimmages coming up. But the team has been working hard, and we're still trying to figure some things out, and we're excited about the possibilities. Really excited about this senior class. These three have meant a lot to our program. Megan Carter being a fifth-year senior, and Allie Poole being true senior, fourth year here at Kent State, and Sydney in her second year with us as a senior now. Proud of this group and what they've done, what they bring to the table for our program. And they've been a great example to our younger players about what success looks like, what hard work looks like, and have been really good leaders for us so far. So just excited to get things underway, and appreciate y'all being here.
Coach, you said you were still trying to figure some things out. What are those things?
I think how risky we can be on the defensive side of the basketball. I think that's one of the questions that we want to try and get answered. Probably still have a lot of question marks on that side of the basketball as far as how we want to play defensively. We've been fairly vanilla in the past with what we've done in our half-court man stuff, and we're looking at trying to expand that a little bit, maybe taking some calculated risks out on the court a little bit more and trying to generate a little bit more offense from our defense. So we're still kind of working through that process. I think we have the athletes on the roster this year to really try and take a few more risks defensively. So we're still working that out and what that's going to look like and how we're actually where we're going to settle on that.
What allows you to be able to do that?
You know, if you've got players that can really cover more ground more quickly, length and athleticism allows you to do that. We have some of that in play in our wing positions with some of our younger players, as these three can attest to. We've got great voices on defense. Sydney's probably one of our best and most consistent voices in practice, especially on the defensive end. And but there's some things that we want to try to do. Obviously, the most important thing for us is to be as efficient as we can be towards winning. And so that's our job as a coaching staff to figure that out. And so that's kind of what we're going through right now.
Todd, when you look back, when you took over, you're kind of looking at your crystal ball back then and what you kind of envisioned with the program. Talk about what you were thinking back then and where you're at right now as you see things.
Yeah, I think this past year and the the postseason success that we had, how we were coming down the stretch and into the postseason, I think kind of has us a little bit ahead of where I predicted us to be. I thought last year's season would be, you know, we had the possibility of doing some great things, and you just didn't know whether they were going to play themselves out. I thought the postseason success that we had creates some confidence within our program. I like our roster at this point, where we've been able to bring in a couple of recruiting classes back to back that provide us with some significant young talent. So I like where we are. You know, every coach in the country is going to say we're young and we have a lot of question marks and that type of thing. But this time of year, if you truly are young, then like we are, as far as game experience, it provides you with some excitement, but also, you know, we've always said what's going to win out this season. Is it going to be talent or is it going to be youth? And so that's kind of yin and yang that we have right now, what we're going back and forth with in practice is there's times we look really good, and there's times we look very average, and so we're working through that. And this, middle of October is the time to be working on that. But I'm cautiously optimistic, right? Coach speak again, about the good things that I'm seeing.
Your sophomore class is got a lot of playing time last year. Does that make you less young on the court?
I mean, potentially. We did get a lot of experience for our freshmen. I think we ended up being third in the nation in freshman scoring percentage-wise in the country, and so that type of experience for your young players is invaluable. So I think they're probably. The term you used was less young. I think that's probably fairly accurate. But we also have 3 freshmen that have come in this year and have done some really nice things. And so it throws more youth into the lineup for sure.
I'll take that. Thanks. So you're talking about youth, but you have some new leaders on the team. They're sitting with you. And how do you think that leadership, you had a postseason win in the MAC tournament, a postseason win in the NIT tournament, leadership and those wins kind of building confidence, does that offset some of the things you don't know about, like the defense? Does that kind of give this team more of an edge?
Yeah, I think this team is hungry. I think we got a taste of some things last year, and I think that we're hungry to try and prove that we can do more. I think where we're probably the most hungry and the biggest area of growth for us is our consistency throughout the non-conference and in conference play. Every team this time of year should be trying to win a championship, and that's what we're about, is trying to win a MAC championship. We want to get a bye to Cleveland just like everybody else does. So that's what our goals have been, to win the MAC championship, to get to the NCAA tournament. We're not going to shy away from that, and that's what these 3 are all about. Their senior year, we talk about fighting for our seniors every year. This is their turn for the team to fight for them, and I think they've had an exciting run so far here at Kent State, but they're not finished, and I think that they'll attest to that they want to finish on an even higher note.
I'll talk to them a little more later. Anybody else?
Can you talk a little bit about filling the holes left by Marissa Barber Smith and Alexa Golden from last year?
Yeah, those are sneaky big holes, as we call them. It's statistically speaking, Lex wasn't like this flashy score or anything like that, but she was, in my opinion, the toughest and best leader in the league. I mean, every other coach is probably going to say somebody on their squad, but what Alexa Golden meant to our team from a leadership standpoint is significant, and you don't have that voice on the court anymore. Fortunately, she's here in the room and is on our staff now and can continue to provide some leadership by still being here, but she's not going to be able to cover up for people's offenses on the court defensively like she did last year. Marissa Barber Smith was the most dominant rebounder in the country last year per minutes played. Had some huge rebounding games down the stretch for us and really helped us win some postseason games that were significant. So those are 2 more significant departures than will look like in a stat sheet from last season. So we've already felt that a little bit, and I think that they would agree to that. But I also think that we've got new players, returning players that are trying to fill some of those minutes and have worked hard in the offseason to step up their game. And we've got some new players, some freshmen that are really pressing things every day in practice and making everybody better because of their talent and their confidence.
What's been the biggest improvement since the start of practice, and what are you still working on, especially in practice?
Yeah, this is going to sound really general, but we're working on everything. We really need to improve in every facet of the game. Offensive execution has to get better. But I think as far as the areas of improvement, the biggest thing is our on-court chemistry, just getting better with different lineups. When you lose two seniors that played the significant roles that they did, you've got other people that are stepping in and still trying to learn their voice, where our consistency and leadership is going to come from. Are we able to compete on a possession-by-possession basis? But our offensive execution still looks a little bit sloppy, and once again, we've got some holes defensively. Like I said, when we're not thinking about basketball as much and we're just playing, we look pretty good. But when we have to get into things where we're really trying to piece some things together, execute on the offensive and defensive end, it still looks a little bit muddled.
Has anybody stepped up noticeably in these 2 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm guessing you want specific names. There are some players that have been doing some things. Asia Dingle, everybody knows how good she can be at times. I think her level of consistency has continued to rise from last year to this year, and in transition, she's just a nightmare to try and stop her in the transition game. We've got pieces around her. We've got a lot of shooters and scorers around her that it's hard to help off of. So that's been one of the things I think that we've seen a significant increase in. Allie's been battling through some off-season injury stuff like that, but she's making great progress, and it's great to see her back out on the court and contributing. Megan Carter at times is the most dominant player on the court, and when she has that mentality, she's one of the top players in the league, and I think people saw evidence of that last year. Her consistency last year was significantly better, and we're looking for her to stake a claim as one of the top players in the league this year. That's what she wants to do as well. Sydney is going to fill some significant minutes for us this year because of her energy and her voice. Her improvement has been so. These three seniors are really going to play a significant role in what we do. We've got some freshmen that are doing well. Lindsay Thal obviously being back, and her confidence being on the all-freshman team. She's shooting the ball very well, and all three freshmen, Nyla Blackford, Katie Shoemate, Clara Kelly, have been at times. At times, Clara Kelly's the best shooter on the planet. It's like she can't miss. Right, and Katie Shoemate and Nyla Blackford just making plays all over the court. Hannah Young is much improved. Has worked very hard in the off season on her footwork and is shooting the ball very well. I mean, the list goes on, and I could talk about every player, but you wanted names. There's a few.
Anything for the student athletes?
Ellie, talk about your knee and how you're doing. Are you back at practice full time?
Not quite yet. We're working on it. It's going in the right direction. So fingers crossed that it keeps going in the right direction. But it's all kind of a give it time and see where it is. But it's going well so far.
Megan, just talk about, you've been a very good player in this league, just like Coach said. What do you do to take the quote-unquote next step?
Just keep getting better every day, get in the gym. Fortunately for me this semester, I have all online classes, so I have a ton of time, and Instagram and YouTube are my best friend. So I usually go on there and just kind of watch games and take stuff from different players and try to apply it to my game. And then I get in the gym and I work on it and practice it in practice. So.
Just kind of talk. This is your fifth year now. Just talk about maybe where the program was when you came in here and what the thoughts and the goals were, and compared to now, and what you guys are thinking coming into this year.
I mean, obviously the goal has always been the same, which is to win a championship. But I think the approach has been a lot different from year to year. So that was the biggest thing, and changing our mindsets to actually achieving those goals. So.
Meg, how are you a different person and a different player than you were 5 years ago?
I've grown so much. Just my personality is very introverted, quiet. Just being at Kent State has made me grow a lot, expand my horizons, and get out, meet different people, and
How are you? How about as a player? Well, let me ask all three of you guys. Is I've heard that everybody always in off season works on getting better. How are you better, Sid and Allie, than you were last year?
Go ahead.
I think my communication has grown since last year. With Lex being gone, there was a gap to fill, so I think I'm a lot more vocal than I was last year. I have to bring more energy than last year, so I feel like I've grown in that aspect.
Coach Starkey always talks about, know your role, stay in your role, star in your role. And I feel like this year, with me being down for a significant amount of time right now, it's been a completely different role that I've had to fill, being more an encourager and not being able to contribute directly on the court. So kind of switching to that role and then now trying to transition back into actually getting to play has been kind of an eye-opener on the ways that I can transfer that from being only an encourager to applying it on the court as well.
Before you got hurt, what were you working on and skill-wise of stepping up your game?
Starring in your role. So being able to not turn the ball over, shoot the ball well, being solid on defense, those kind of things.
Right. How are you a different player than you were last year? What did you work on?
For me, it was just like trying new things, whether it be on the offensive side or the defensive side. I just wanted to really step out of my comfort zone and try new things. So.
I want to ask Allie, what have you been working on specifically while you're recovering? Are there any drills that you can participate in or can't participate in?
As time's gone on, I've gotten to do some more, and what I'm allowed to do has been expanding. It very much at the beginning was stand and shoot the ball, don't jump, sit down and dribble. But I'm into almost everything again, so it's looking good.
Do you think you'll be in the lineup? Maybe Coach Stark, he can answer that too. Do you know if you're ready to be in the lineup?
That's kind of a
on
thing
opening
that
night?
just as the year plays out, we kind of see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Allie Poole at 80% is better than most people because of the experience that she has, the big games and big moments that she's played in, and the fact that she understands all of our terminology, our drills, our plays, everything. So she mentally is a step ahead of our younger players just because she has that experience. And so we've been very optimistic with her progress. At first it was, kind of like wait and see. I think we're still in a little bit of that mode, but she's really progressed a lot quicker than we had hoped for, and I think we're all pretty optimistic about her level of participation this year.
Then let me turn that over to all three of you. That's a lot of confidence from your head coach. How does that work for the rest of the team on a daily basis? Anybody can start.
Okay, you got it? No, you got it. It's kind of like infectious a little bit. Just gives rise to everybody's confidence. And then that just spreads, so good.
I know Coach Starkey spoke about this a little bit, but for you guys, how does the team feel coming out of the big postseason win?
I think we want more. We'll just sit in the locker room and have talks about it. We can do this and we can do that, and how to do this and how to do that. But I think we just want more, and we want to win the MAC, and we want to get to the NCAA and go from there. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll sit and talk in the locker room, and the freshmen will kind of hop in. They've never done any of this before, so we're like, no, this is what happens. Now this is what we have to do next year. This is our last year, so we're trying to get as much accomplished as we can.
I feel like it gives us confidence. It pushes us to want more, and we feed off of each other. The freshmen are feeding off the older classmen who have been there and who want more out of our team.
Sydney, Coach talks about you as the voice of the defense. Is that an adjustment for you to be kind of concerned about how other people are on the defensive end of the field instead of just focusing on yourself?
Not necessarily. I've always kind of filled the role of a verbal communicator, but with there being a bigger gap, it does make me more concerned about my players. For the freshmen, for instance, they're not as vocal right now. And so in practice, I try to, hey, you need to talk to me on this. Make sure you're talking to me. So trying to get that out of them is more this year.
Sydney, we've lost our 2 leading rebounders, and you're a rebounding expert. So what do you see as what the team needs to do to step up for rebounding?
I feel like we're really hungry on the offensive end. I feel like players want to prove themselves more on the offensive end, so we've kind of fly to the basket. But on the defensive end, I think is where we're lacking. No one's as hungry, so I feel like we need to focus more on boxing out and not just going to the basket. So that way we get more rebounds in. We can translate it to offense.
I guess my last question is, can this team be better than last year, which was a good team? And
Yes. Yeah,
why,
we're not going to say we better have that mentality that we can be better than last year. Yeah. If we ever come into a season and we're like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be as good as we were last year, then from the outset our mentality is wrong. Right, so it's yes, we can definitely be better than last year's team. I'll just answer that for everybody, and put that one to rest.
Coach, I just had a question about your non-conference schedule. I mean, you were excited about Ohio State coming here to play, so can you talk about the non-conference schedule and that game in particular?
Yeah, we're trying to establish this as the Kent State University, since we're the only Kent State University there is, right? So that's our goal. No, I think it's great for our program to be able to play 3 Big Ten teams. I think it's great. First time, I believe, in 38 years that Ohio State has come here to play a women's basketball game. So Ohio State's got a great program. This state is so focused on the Buckeyes and what happens in Columbus. But hopefully a little bit of the focus will be in Kent, Ohio on November the 21st. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a tall order. I think they had the 3rd or 4th best recruiting class in the country this past year. But once again, that's the type of thing that we're trying to recruit players to Kent State that want those challenges, that want to play against the best. And so they'll get that opportunity. We play Michigan and Ohio State in the same week, which is kind of a unique thing. And then go to Purdue, to Mackey Arena, which is a great venue for women's basketball. So exciting non-conference, very challenging. We're preparing for that.
Get any new Chuck Taylors over the offseason?
No Chuck Taylors. Still the old pink ones are laying in wait to be used for a home contest, but no new Chuck Taylors.
Kind of expanding on that non-conference schedule, obviously a holiday tournament out in Vegas. Kind of talk about that opportunity to put you guys on a national map and an opportunity for the fans to kind of travel to a premier destination to cheer you guys on.
Yeah, we've kind of since we got here, this is year 4 now, we've tried to really improve the profile of our program on not just a regional but a national basis. This will be our 2nd time going to Las Vegas in the last few years. In a South Point tournament we're playing out there, playing against 2 tough opponents in Georgia Southern and Troy. And so we're excited about that opportunity, for the players to be able to travel. And I think we've got some fans that are already signed up to go, and families that are signed up to go out there to play, which is great. Season tickets have already increased in sales this year. Encourage more people to come out and watch. This is going to be an exciting team to watch, and I think we've been an exciting brand of basketball and have grown that over the last 3 years. But I think this has the opportunity to be our most exciting team on the court to watch, and a great non-conference schedule to kind of showcase that and see what we're made of. and if we're ready to handle that type of stage, and then on into, MAC play, which is everybody knows is one of the top conferences in the country for women's basketball, and it won't disappoint again this year. It's going to be a great season, especially when you got a team, Ohio, coming back with just about their whole roster and winning 30 games this past season. So, and 2 schools in Central Michigan and Buffalo that have been to the Sweet 16 in the past few years and the postseason play, and the whole conference between coaches and players is just phenomenal. So we're excited about it.
Anybody else have anything?
Just the question we sort of danced around. What are the odds, Allie and Todd, that Allie will be ready for the first game?
I wouldn't put Las Vegas odds on that, but we're preparing her for to be available as early in the season as possible, and that'll just be based on how she continues to progress. So there's no magical date out there that we're looking at. It's just a matter of when she's ready from a health standpoint to be able to compete at a high enough level that she and the doctors and we are comfortable with. Was that vague enough for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Anybody else have anything for Coach Starkey or our student athletes? No? Okay.
All right,
We'll
thank
end
you.
The women's session for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.